I'm excited to be here today because today is really a day about celebrating good news. And how many of us need some good news?
Yeah.
But it's also about really acknowledging the commitment that public servants have. About acknowledging you and congratulating you on this. Right? And I can already tell from your humble demeanor and everything else, and just a few questions that I asked you, that it's really about making sure that people can maintain their dignity in seeking housing. And when I think about, when I think about you, and I will share this personal story, at 9 years old, in the height of the slumlords in New York City, born and raised in New York, my parents organized a rent strike. And I will never forget what it meant for all these working class and poor families to organize, to say that they wanted basic services, that they were being ignored. And it was one of the cases that brought down one of the biggest slumlords. And they did that for 3 years. Unbelievable pressure. And so this has a very personal meaning to me, which is what did it mean for people who can make sure that we have dignity, especially for working class New Yorkers. So I thank you for that.
When we accepted these jobs and this way of life as civil servants, we accept the fact that all of the important life-saving and life-changing work we do will not make us rich or earn us a statue in a park. Instead, it will probably mean long hours and many, many hard choices. We will not work in the glass office ivory tower or participate in company retreats in Vegas. It doesn't happen for us. What we will have, though, is the sense of accomplishment and self-fulfillment that comes from really and truly helping people. Given this reality, the reason we are here today is even more exceptional. The Fund for the City of New York, year after year, takes time and makes the effort to publicly recognize the importance of civil service. We don't have the Oscars or the Grammys or the All-Star Game, but we do have the Sloan Award, and this is the All-Star Game of civil servants for New York. The commissioner likened it to the Nobel Prize of New York City service, so all around. The fund does a lot of work leading up to this event to identify individuals among us who exhibit the sacrifice and the dedication of an exemplary civil servant. Someone who, in the bustle of daily life, goes in and out, day after day, quietly making our world a better place for countless New Yorkers who will never know their name. And not surprisingly, the fund continues to recognize HPD staff who meet that criteria, who stand out among the crowd to represent the best of civil service in this city of hundreds of thousands of civil servants. I want to thank the fund today for recognizing Lynette Parker. Lynette is truly an example of the quiet, reserved, yet deeply compassionate and passionate, strong, smart, and dedicated individuals that make everyone in this room proud to work for the city. I know Lynette did not start off in housing, but she has truly, over the last 20 or so years, made this her calling. I'm sure she could share innumerable stories about landlords who needed to be forced to do the right thing by their tenants, and some that just needed a compassionate course correction. And she has been one of the champions to make this happen. She and her colleagues in our housing litigation division, many of whom are here today, form the backstop to our enforcement efforts. And without their efforts, countless families will continue to live in unsafe conditions. She personally made their lives better. You did. Thank you, Lynette. I am honored to work with Lynette every day. I applaud her and her family, and I know that we will leave this event today proud of her accomplishments and with thanks in our hearts for this incredible recognition.
Although I've only worked with Lynette for a few short years, I've had the privilege of knowing her for many. I first met Lynette when I was a tenants' rights attorney bringing HP cases in housing court. And during that time, I came to respect Lynette as a trusted HPD attorney who went to great lengths to hold owners accountable to ensure that New York City residents were living in safe and habitable conditions. Whenever I had a case in the HP part, I always hoped that Lynette would be handling it. But even when she wasn't, she was willing to take the time to patiently answer questions when I sought her advice. She was a big part of why I saw HPD as a partner in the fight to ensure that tenants had safe and habitable conditions. However, it wasn't until I worked with Lynette that I understood the depth of her commitment to this work. Lynette is a fierce and no-nonsense person, both in the office and in court. In court, she is respected by judges, opposing counsel, advocates, and most importantly, the tenants that she serves. She is creative in her approach to the work, and she doesn't shy away from challenging situations or taking risks when a particularly bad actor presents new or not so new, but repeated tricks to undermine tenants and deprive New Yorkers of safe living conditions. Lynette goes above and beyond her role as a supervising attorney for the Manhattan unit, one of the heaviest litigated boroughs in the city. Not only does she carry a heavy caseload as a supervising attorney, she is and has been for many years the resident 7A expert for HLD. These are the most complicated and contentious cases that we bring because tenants have lived in horrible conditions for years due to an absentee or intransigent landlord at a point when we've exhausted all of our enforcement remedies. Lynette is also responsible for often overwhelming administrative work for the unit, which she appears to manage easily and without complaint, I will add, despite often restricted, if not depleted, resources. She has built a strong and cohesive team that works together to get the job done. Beyond her team in the Manhattan unit, Lynette is widely respected by her colleagues in HLD and across HPD. She makes herself available to talk through challenging issues and complicated cases. It isn't often that she encounters a situation that she hasn't dealt with before, but when she does, she meets it head on and leans on her extensive experience to map out a path forward. On a personal note, I have learned so much from Lynette over the years. When I am presented with challenging issues, I often think, what would Lynette do?
Over the years at HLD and HPD, Lynette has demonstrated her uncaring commitment to duty. She has personally reached out to tenants to make arrangements to have the substandard conditions rectified. She has also contacted landlords who violate housing maintenance code and the multiple dwelling laws of the state and city of New York to repair the tenants' conditions. You don't want to be an opposing attorney against Ms. Parker. She's meticulous at getting materials for trials and is always victorious when it comes to final decisions at the end. Throughout the years, Ms. Parker has demonstrated supervisory skills. She's definitely a role model for HLD. Again, congratulations, Ms. Parker, and continue your marvelous work.
The fund has been around for almost 50 years, over 50 years actually, and this program is close to 50 years. And so it's seen this city through some dark times. But I think the last 2 years have been a particularly dark moment for our city, and the work that Lynette has done throughout this period is something that is remarkable. And I think it goes to the nature of Lynette as a person, but also the mission that she sees as so important, which is making sure that New Yorkers have housing, have a dignity in housing, and have full lives that they cannot have if they do not have a place to lay their head, a place to center themselves, to call home, to make this city a home to so many people. And so, you know, I think that quiet dignity and drive has been at the root of what we saw and what we'd like to honor. I came across a very interesting phrase in reading about your accomplishments. I've heard removing a building, you know, removing an owner from a building is hard, but I've never heard of removing a building from an owner. That to me is remarkable and a whole other level of mastery. And finally, I'd like to say that, you know, you're only as good as your team. And Lynette has invested the time and effort in her teams to make them and their work successful. Her mock court program for the inspectors is a great example of that passion and ingenuity. And I think it is this passion and ingenuity that we are honored to recognize today. Thank you.
Well, I'm kind of happy because it's not just a win for me, but it's a win for Housing Litigation Division, HPD being recognized, and just all the work that we all do, everyone does in this room. So it's more not really about me, but it's about my colleagues, co-workers, and everyone else. So I really do enjoy the work and the outcome of the work that occurs when you really can see that such a small thing can make such a big deal, you know, having kids live in a safe place. And I was thinking that during my ACS days, one of the things that I encountered many times was that parents would tell me that kids didn't want to get up in the mornings to go to school because it was so cold. And working here, it just put everything in context. The importance of having essential services, heating, hot water, and just having a safe place to live. So this is, the recognition for this award is really about everyone that's in this room that makes it happen. And I'm just happy to be involved with that.
So today's all about you. And people who don't know you, for the last 2 years, called through, interviewed a lot of your colleagues. You know you have a long distinguished career in public service from ACS to DOB. Yes, we even reached out to DOB during that stint. And then HPD. We curated here a nice brochure for everyone to have. It has the 6 award winners, but it also has the 302 previous winners ever since 1973. And there's information here, and there's also the quotes, supporting quotes on each of the candidates. So this is a great piece of momentum to take away, and you're going to leave some for you and your family. But we also know that New York City employees, public service, government, doesn't always get the best rap. And we're often unsung heroes. And we often don't get thank yous as often as you should. So we made sure that the New York Times covered you today. You also appear in the Daily News. And social media and digital campaigns also honoring you today. So we have the New York Times, the Daily News. We also have these beautiful portraits. One to be hung here at HPD. Second one to be hung in your home. And then, last part of the party.
Congratulations. Thank you.